Greetings. I am Legacy Moon, and this is True Crime and Mysteries. Welcome back, current subscribers, new subscribers, those who watch me but haven't subscribed, and those of you who are here for the very first time. Welcome. Today, I am going to be talking about a story. I guess you could say it's probably not true crime, but it's a missing person. And this missing person's name is Taylor Casey. And I don't think she's getting the coverage that she should be getting. Now let's get into it. Taylor Casey is a 41-year-old black woman from Chicago. She is described by friends and family as someone who cares about her community and care about her surroundings. So she is also into yoga. She takes yoga classes, and she eventually would like to be certified to be a yoga instructor. In the month of June 2024, Taylor went to Paradise Island over in the Bahamas to attend the Savanda Ashram yoga retreat. From this point on, I am just going to say yoga retreat because I don't want to butcher that name any further than I already have. So anyway, Taylor was attending yoga classes and participating in the program that was offered at this yoga retreat. And she was last seen on June the 19th, 2024. Now, on June the 20th, 2024, the officials at the retreat reported her missing to the Bahamas Royal Police. I will be referring to them as the police from this point on. The officials at the retreat also notified her family that she was missing. It is not known what Taylor was wearing at the time of her disappearance. Now, initially, they were saying that they didn't know if she was in any danger. Well, here's the thing. She's over here at this retreat on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. You know, she disappears. She has not been seen, and you don't know if she's in any danger. I mean, that just doesn't even make any logical sense. So in addition to these people at the retreat notifying the police, notifying her family that she's missing, they also made a post on Facebook saying that she was missing and she was last seen at the retreat on the evening of June the 19th, 2024. Right here we have the actual post that the retreat posted on their Facebook page, and right now I'm going to read to you what this says. A participant from our yoga certification program, Taylor Casey, is missing. On June the 20th, we requested the police investigate and informed the U.S. Embassy and Miss Casey's family. Miss Casey's disappearance was discovered on June the 20th when she did not attend morning classes. She was last seen at the retreat late on the evening of June the 19th. We urge anyone with information on Miss Casey's whereabouts to contact the local police immediately. The ashram is working with authorities in their investigation. Your assistance is greatly appreciated. This is what they posted on their Facebook page, but a little bit later, I'm going to get into some things that they said in an article. Now we're going to get into why I mentioned Taylor Casey's race at the beginning when I started. If you all can remember the year 2005, you remember that spring there was another young lady who disappeared on a Caribbean island. Her name was Natalie Holloway. She disappeared May the 30th, 2025, over there in Aruba. And I will mention that she is Caucasian and she has blonde hair and blue eyes. If you can remember, for months, all we saw every night on our TV screens, news and articles and everything, was this young lady's disappearance and what happened to her. And, of course, when she disappeared, some locals were gathered up and everything. And come to find out, she was unalived by someone else who was, I believe his father was a diplomat, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, that's what happened to her. But my point is, we had to see it on, all of the things. We had, news, magazines, just everywhere. And to this day, she's still talked about, and her case is still mentioned. I mean, the person who unalived her has gone to jail, and they've even found more bodies to put on him. But the bottom line is we're still hearing about her case, and her assailant. Although, I will admit, Taylor's case is getting attention. It is not getting the attention that Natalie Holloway got. Yes, she's had, People Magazine, CNN, USA Today. I mean, she is being, Good Morning America, all of that. She is being talked about, but we're not being plastered with her story like we were Natalie Holloway. I mean, we don't even have the FBI involved in it, in this case, like they were with Natalie Holloway. And I think at some point in the beginning when she disappeared, the FBI is one of those agencies where, they have to be invited in. Say, for example, if a crime happens in Indiana, the FBI has to be invited by the local police in Indiana in order to participate in the investigation. Well, this is what they're saying about, or what they had been saying about Taylor Casey's case. They haven't been asked to come in, but why do they have to be? I know that our country can't just go and run an investigation, but they can go down there on an unofficial capacity and do some things. Now, it's my understanding, according to what I have read, that the police there in the Bahamas, they've done flyers and they've passed out flyers, and, they have been looking for her, but it doesn't even seem like they are doing as much as they should or could be doing. Now, of course, after Taylor disappeared, the U.S. did have put a level 2 travel advisory on the Bahamas due to its high crime rate, which is something I'm sure the Bahamas was afraid would happen. But still, we have a missing woman, and I don't think enough is being done to find her.
Darius Johnson spoke to those who love her and an expert about travel in that area. It has been 5 days since 41-year-old Taylor Casey was last seen on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. Police there issued a missing persons alert in hopes of finding the Chicago woman. CBS 2's Darius Johnson spoke to those who love her and an expert about travel in that area.
More than 1,300 miles away, an investigation is underway in the disappearance of 41-year-old Taylor Casey. According to the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Chicago woman was last seen Wednesday, June 19th on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. Police released this flyer on Saturday.
Paradise Island is loaded with resorts and hotels. If she was on a yoga retreat, I'm sure she was staying at one of those hotels or resorts.
We spoke to CBS News travel editor Peter Greenberg to learn more about where Casey was visiting. On Facebook, family and friends say she was attending a yoga retreat with Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat in the Bahamas.
What we don't know here is where she was actually staying. Did she leave the resort? Did she leave the complex? Was she by herself? Was she traveling with somebody else?
Casey's disappearance comes as the State Department issued a level 2 out of 4 travel advisory for the Bahamas, advising travelers to exercise increased caution.
The reason why the State Department issued that advisory is because of increased gang crimes in the Bahamas, as there are increased crime situations with gangs in places like Mexico or Jamaica. That does not necessarily mean you can't go there.
There are also level 2 travel advisories for other countries throughout the Caribbean.
Most American travelers, you'll know, when they travel to the Bahamas or Jamaica for that matter, or to the beach resorts in Mexico, never leave the resorts.
Greenberg says these advisories often generate fear, but it's important to know your surroundings.
Where trouble happens for any American traveler is when they, let's say, go out at night with friends or by themselves in a neighborhood that they don't know or that they don't understand or it's unfamiliar to them, and they're not traveling in a group. That's where they can get into some trouble.
As the search continues in the Bahamas, Casey's family and friends remain worried. Her mother, Colette Seymour, released a statement today saying, "We are deeply concerned for Taylor's safety and well-being. We love Taylor and want her home." I'm Darius Johnson, CBS 2 News.
Casey's mother tells us she and a few others are heading to the Bahamas tomorrow in hopes of finding her.
Taylor Casey's mother, Colette Seymour, went to Paradise Island over there in the Bahamas. She had a group of people with her. You know, she wanted to be there and check on the investigation and what is being done for her child. Needless to say, she had a very unsettling feeling when she got back. But let's talk about what happened while she was there. So we know that the police handed out flyers, but they didn't do this immediately. She also found out that Taylor was reported missing, but it wasn't until late in the evening that they reported her. So it wasn't right away, like I thought, or probably like she thought. I mean, while she was there, the ashram retreat, they allowed her to come there, but she was not allowed to speak to any of the participants of the yoga retreat, which to me is a very important thing because you want to gauge what might have happened with your child. And here Miss Seymour wasn't allowed to speak to any of the guests. She says that what we learned and observed during our time meeting with the authorities and ashram leaders is disturbing and infuriating. Miss Casey also talked about how they went to the room where she was staying, and by room, I mean tent, and what they found there was disturbing. They found a Bible, a training course book, yoga practicing materials and clothing, and the tent hadn't even been processed by the Bohemian police. I don't even know if they went and looked at it. Miss Seymour stated that it became apparent, to her and the group of people there looking for her, that when they met with the ashram leaders, that they were struggling to keep a cohesive narrative regarding Taylor's disappearance. I mean, it makes me wonder if the police even bothered to speak to anybody at the retreat, simply because they didn't want the family to disturb the guest as well. They claimed that they wanted to maintain tranquility and comfort for individuals' tourism experience. Now, the Bahamian police claim that they did get, statements from the participants at the retreat, but the police wouldn't specify whether any individuals at the retreat had been interrogated. A manager at the retreat said that 2 days before Casey's disappearance, an unidentified man with a walkie-talkie was seen walking near the area where Casey's tent was located. A retreat participant also told the group that on the day of Casey's disappearance, she had been approached by the same male while sitting alone. This unidentified man was wearing a Celtics baseball cap dressed in all black. He claimed he was from Chicago and was interested in talking to the yoga class. He proceeded to follow her onto the property. This is kind of pretty much the most information that Miss Seymour got. Now, I also want to mention that several of the retreat participants changed their flights to come back home early because they kind of feared for their safety. Why are they fearing for their safety? Why are they fearing for their safety? Now, I want to talk about this man in the hat, all dressed in black, for just a second. Now, me having traveled to other countries, I stay on resorts. And on these resorts, like, people you just can't come on there. If you are not there as a paying customer, you can't just be there. You can't, it's behind a gate that's guarded. So I wonder how this man was able to walk around this yoga retreat. I envision, no one has said, but I envision this retreat to be like an ongoing thing, and that they have something blocked out for its participants to stay. If you just kind of work with me here, I'm thinking of, a resort. Well, this wasn't exactly a resort, but it was a retreat that provided meals and such for its participants. Like any Joe Blow could just walk up there. These people paid thousands of dollars to be at this retreat, and it's not secured. I think that's what I'm searching for.
The family of a Chicago woman missing in the Bahamas is now pleading for more support from the U.S. government. 41-year-old Taylor Casey was last seen June 19th while attending a yoga retreat on Paradise Island.
A young lady called me and said, "Have you heard from Taylor?" And I'm looking at the phone because I know she was from the yoga retreat. And then she said, "Taylor hasn't showed up for yoga classes."
Casey's mother traveled to the retreat last week and now says her visit was deeply unsettling. She says she had to beg to talk to students at the retreat and says it felt like the students were told what to say and what not to say. And Seymour says she saw no missing persons posters. Despite authorities saying they've spoken to a number of people and deployed drones, divers, and a canine unit, Seymour says, "I felt like the police did the bare minimum. Without U.S. government support, we may never find out what happened to my Taylor." Police were able to find Casey's cell phone in the ocean last week, but the family says authorities refused to turn over the phone.
We need Taylor in our lives. We miss Taylor. We need Taylor home. That's the bottom line. Please.
The family says Taylor would never just take off without telling them.
I want to take a few minutes to focus on this tent. And what you see in front of you is a picture of, some of the things found in the tent. And when I say this was a tent, this was a tent. I don't exactly know how much people paid to attend this retreat. I'm sure it included the classes and food, and I guess you can call this tent lodging. Needless to say, however I feel about the accommodations, if the people attending the retreat liked it, then hey, who am I? I've never been to a yoga retreat. I don't know what they do. But anyway, this is how Miss Seymour found Taylor's tent. It had the books in it, like I just showed a few minutes ago, and that I spoke of a little bit earlier in the video. And, this is what her bed looked like. This is how the tent is found. And as I mentioned before, no forensic information was obtained from the tent. We don't even know if the police looked inside the tent. The ashram retreat, they were very upset about Taylor's tent being showed on the news. And, I got a clip of it that's going to follow after I'm done saying what I'm saying. But, they were very upset. They gave a statement that I'm not going to read simply because it pissed me off. And I'm just not going to, I don't want any attention put on them other than the fact that they're not being helpful. It's almost like they're stonewalling. They're not participating in the investigation. They did their little Facebook post and eventually put up a flyer that she was missing. Not right away. I said eventually put up a flyer in the retreat area that Taylor was missing. But other than that, it has been the bare minimum. It has been a bunch of distancing themselves. So besides them being upset about this tent being shown to the world, they are, kind of saying that, well, Taylor didn't vanish from the retreat. They said that she wandered off and, something must have happened and she didn't come back. Very much so distancing themselves from everything. It's kind of given, we don't want to be sued later. But basically, this retreat, they want to have us to believe that Taylor either that night decided to go somewhere or that morning decided to go somewhere and told no one that she was going to do it. I mean, really?
Tonight, mystery in Paradise mounting with newly released photos taken by family of, they say, the tent where 41-year-old Taylor Casey was staying when she vanished from a yoga retreat in the Bahamas nearly 2 weeks ago. Her mom finding the Chicago youth director's Bible.
And I'm just crying out for Taylor, and feeling my child.
Casey's loved ones just back from a 3-day trip to the Shivananda Ashram yoga retreat, sounding alarms about the investigation, saying this potential crime scene seemed open to the public, adding no missing persons posters were up, and Bahamian authorities and retreat staff told them they'd initially opted not to alert all guests and asked family not to approach them.
Because they were on vacation and they wanted to respect their privacy.
Bahamian authorities not addressing those allegations.
Let me say that our priority is to find Taylor.
holding this press conference nearly a week after Casey disappeared, and tonight saying crews searched the area, finding her phone in the ocean, her passport still missing. The retreat saying we did our best to provide Casey's family with support, meeting with them along with police and U.S. Embassy representatives on 2 occasions, adding they're providing guests with regular updates. And when Casey's family visited, they say guests were encouraged to speak freely. All this amid heightened safety concerns. The U.S. in January issuing a level 2 travel advisory to the Bahamas due to crime.
What do you think happened to your daughter?
I have no idea. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Casey's family is now pleading with American authorities, namely the FBI, for help. And this week, Chicago police issued a missing persons alert. Tom?
Thanks for watching.
Let's review what we know. Taylor Casey is a 41-year-old black woman who loves yoga. She eventually wanted to become a certified yoga instructor. She goes over to Paradise Island in the Bahamas to this retreat. Thousands and thousands of dollars was spent to attend this retreat. She was last seen in the evening of June the 19th. She was reported missing June the 20th. Although it was that evening on the 20th, she was reported missing. So the police, they say, used drones and dogs to try to find Taylor. This is what they say. The Bohemian police eventually got around to putting up a flyer saying that this woman was missing. We know that Taylor's mother, Miss Seymour, went over there to help look for her daughter and to collect her daughter's things, and she wasn't received well. She did not like what the response was from the police or the ashram yoga retreat. They weren't very helpful. We know she was not allowed to ask the attendees of the retreat any questions or any of the things. We know that her tent was not forensically processed. We know that the FBI knows that she's aware, that they're aware that Taylor is missing. However, the Bohemian police haven't invited them in on the investigation, so the FBI is just standing by, In my opinion, we know a whole lot of nothing. We know that this woman is missing, and people seem to be doing the bare minimum to find her. And by people, I mean the Bohemian authorities and the people at the retreat. And the people at the retreat are making it very clear. Oh, she wasn't taken from the retreat. She left and disappeared. Perhaps she's in harm's way or something. They don't know. They don't really care as long as their name is kept out of it. Here's what I know. I know that Natalie Holloway's Aruba disappearance and later unaliving happened in 2005. And I'm still hearing about that. There have been movies and reunion, every so many years we hear about it. She disappeared over in Aruba, like I said earlier. But we know that Taylor Casey, the black woman, we know her, she's not getting a whole lot of coverage. You're not seeing her everywhere. You hear about it here and there. You have news reports that come out basically telling us the same thing over and over again. But what we don't hear is the U.S. doing anything to help find its citizen that seemed to have vanished into thin air in the Bahamas. A few days ago, Taylor's cell phone was found 50 plus feet under the water. And that's the most recent news that has been given on Taylor's case from the Bohemian authorities. And you heard me say that her phone was found 50 plus feet under. You didn't hear me say anything else about the phone because nothing else was said other than it was found. We don't know if the Bohemian police are going to look into it, if it's water damage. I mean, we just don't know. Now, what I'm going to leave you with, because this is all that I have on Taylor's case, which is not much, but I'm going to leave you with an interview that her mother and her sister did a couple of hours ago. And she kind of feels the same way that I feel about Taylor's case. She's Black, and she is part of the LGBTQIA group. So she feels not much is being done because of this. Her mother is calling for the FBI and American authorities to get involved, help find her daughter, do something, but nothing's being done. As far as I'm concerned, enough is not being done.
It's been I've been home over a week and a half and haven't heard not one word from them.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of such a thing. I would normally with these cases we cover in the US, the detective would, again, at least even if they don't have an update, be reaching out, trying to provide some comfort. I mean, do you have any idea why, Colette, why they would suddenly just almost be ghosting you?
Well, my idea is really saddens me. When I think about it, I'm like, why wouldn't I hear from them? You know, this is my child. I feel like my child had 2 strikes against her when she went over there to that yoga retreat. And one was that she's Black, and the other is that she's transgender. And that disturbs me.
Did you did you get a feeling that you weren't being taken seriously, or that the case wasn't being respectfully handled while you were there?
Yes, I got that feeling most of the time. You know, when we're in a room with 18 corporals, lieutenants, superintendents, just a lot of people, and just a lot of people to deal with and talk to. I didn't understand why does it take these many people? You know, I'm here to find out what happened to my child. My child is missing. Get on the case.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that, because when I was there and they had the press conference, the police made a point of saying that you seemed pleased with their investigation.
You know, and I could see how they're saying that because my mother taught me manners to say please and thank you. And yes, I was saying to them, thank you for what you're doing. And please, and saying please. I was very polite. They took if it's a mistake if they took my politeness for being pleased. I was not pleased at all with the investigation.
Yeah, and I can understand why. Emily, the ashram's email to the family, which we read part of it, says the facts gathered by the police and the family indicate Taylor left voluntarily with the intent to return. Is there any reason that you can come up with that she would have I would have left voluntarily? And I've been there, so I'm envisioning it. I mean, it's not an easy place to just leave. It's an island, so it's hard to imagine how she would even do that. But I mean, what do you make of the ashram, coming up with that conclusion?
In my opinion, that's a really convenient story for them. I mean, let's be real. Taylor spent thousands of dollars to be there. She wanted the skills and the peace and the wellness that was offered by the teacher training. For them to say that the evidence points to Taylor having left of her own volition, I think they want us to accept that so that they can just turn their hands up and go about business as usual. But everything that we've been told does not point to Taylor having left of her own volition.
What do you make, Colette, of the way the ashram has been responding? Because I've interviewed you several times now. I mean, you haven't specifically said that you think the ashram is responsible for anything in terms of her disappearance, but just that they weren't quick enough to act, there weren't missing posters, but they went as far as to like claim defamation based on some of your interviews, which isn't something I've ever really seen happen before during an active missing case like this. I mean, what did you make of the response, Colette?
It's not true. It's not defamation. It's just what they didn't do. I mean, my child had been missing 5 days before they even put up a flyer with Taylor missing on that resort, you know, and they didn't inform the other classmates, the students, that Taylor was missing. I don't understand that. When someone goes missing, everywhere else I've seen, it's reported everywhere and instantly. And I think I read in one of them reports that they reported my child missing in the afternoon. No, it was not in the afternoon because they told me to wait till after dinner time. And it wasn't until like 8:30, 9 o'clock that they even went to the Royal Bahamas police force.
Emily, what do you think needs to happen now? I mean, Colette's not getting any updates from the police. The embassy said that they were assisting, I think, initially. I mean, how does this move forward?
Well, you know, number one, I don't know how the embassy could co-sign this investigation. We've said from the very beginning that the Royal Bahamas Police Force has said that they were working with the FBI, but we have been told multiple times that they are not working with the FBI. Rather, the legal attaché at the embassy has observer status to the investigation, that the Royal Bahamian Police Force needs to invite the FBI to actually investigation. And that's what needs to happen. And that's why we're calling on the U.S. government to lean on the State Department so that they can encourage the Royal Bahamian Police Force to actually invite the FBI so that there is a real investigation.
Thank you for watching.
Once again, I am Legacy Moon, and if you are on that cell phone, the laptop, the iPad, and you're not subscribed to me, go on up and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll know when I drop my next video. And as I always ask, please make sure you thumbs up the video and help me slave to the algorithm. Slave to the algorithm.